Yeah, I'll talk about a mindset. So, being an engineer, I've always had, and I think engineers have this, a real toughness and ability to want to achieve, to solve problems, take responsibility, and do the best. So, I understood you had to take a test, an exam, but before that, you have to take another exam. It's called the Fundamentals of Engineering. And I thought, well, it's been a while since I've been out of school. I should probably buy a book, maybe brush up on it. I knew that I was going to finish this. Again, I was going to take this test and do absolutely my best and do everything in my power to make sure that I was prepared for it. So, well, people ask, how much time should I spend? And you answer, and you have an answer for that. It's typically 15 to 25 hours a week, which is a good thing. But another thing is being task based. Make sure you do the material and understand it well enough.
Hi, Keith.
Hi, Wasim. Pleasant to talk to you today.
Yeah, how are you doing? Likewise. Thanks a lot for making yourself available. I know you have a busy schedule, so I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to do this. So, Keith, you passed the FE Electrical and Computer exam in the first attempt with me recently. And the reason we are doing this interview is because you have a very interesting journey, you have a very interesting scenario. How about we start with your academic background, your professional background, and walk through when you graduated, the majors you took, and what prompted you to basically pursue P license?
Yes, so I graduated with a Bachelor of Science, Electrical Engineering, almost 3 decades ago. So it's been a while. I immediately took a job and in the digital hardware development industry. So I've had private industry, uh, digital hardware. So that's IT networking hardware and also government systems, signal acquisition type background.
Okay. And your undergraduate was in electrical at that time in 90s, right?
Yes, electrical engineering.
Yeah, electrical engineering. So what stands out for me is the fact that in early 90s, I mean, I don't think there was any such thing as software engineering, right? So it was just getting started. So FE electrical exam, as we know, is challenging, right? Even for new graduates. And you being out of school for almost 30 years or 30 plus years, right around that time, it makes it even more challenging for somebody, who graduated in 90s. So what was your motivation? So why at this point in your career you're considering B licensure?
Yeah, I'll talk about a mindset. So, being an engineer, I've always had, and I think engineers have this, a real toughness and ability to want to achieve, to solve problems, take responsibility, and do the best. Um, so, that's kind of the level setting. Um, Being in private industry, I knew there was such a thing as a PE, but it's just not important for the industry I was in. It just nobody had it, nobody talked about it, but I knew it was out there. I recently changed careers, got back into a more public facing, dealing with the government and with the public. So professional engineering is license is something that is valued. In fact, coming in, they said, "Do you have your PE license?" I thought, "Oh my goodness, no, I don't." So I knew it was important, and also my um, employer they encourage it, so they really are supportive of it. Um, yeah, so that was the thing, and I didn't know what goes into it, but one
Right.
step is the
Yes, yes.
FE.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the mindset because you mentioned the problem solving mindset that most of the engineers have, which is great. But, at the end of the day, all of us are human beings and we like to take the easy way out, right? Path of least resistance. So that leads to a lot of procrastination, right? And even with new college grads, they would like to put it off and not take these exams if they don't really have to. So what was your strategy to sort of motivate you? So the employer incentivizing you to take the exam, that's one thing. But how did you really buckle up that I'm going in and I'll get this done?
Yeah, so I understood you had to take a test, an exam, But before that, you have to take another exam. It's called the Fundamentals of Engineering. And I thought, well, it's been a while since I've been out of school. I should probably buy a book, maybe brush up on it. I talked to my colleagues, and they said, "Oh, you should look at it." So I found this book. It turns out it's your book, Wasim's study guide. And I thought, well, I'll look at that. And you're right, I was a victim of procrastination. So I did some of the problems, but I really just knew that I needed the discipline of knowing how much to study. Um, the world is too big. You can study everything and you are very inefficient, or you can study very little and you won't be prepared for the exam. So I knew that a program would be beneficial to me, not just going through the book, as helpful as that was, but being accountable week to week. So after looking at the book for maybe a month and knowing that even though I made a schedule, I didn't keep to it. I said, I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure I pass that test. Or if I fail it, I'm going to give it absolutely my best shot. So I signed up for the live training, and I'm glad I did because it kept me motivated week to week. Um, Plus, the appropriate amount of instruction was provided. So you can go too deep or too shallow. But I think one of the advantages of the training, and especially the live training, is knowing how much to study, when to study, what to study, and know when you're done and move to the next thing.
Right. And if I remember correctly, you actually joined the live program, the September to November classes. And I think you were a couple of weeks late. I think we had already done voice circuit analysis because I do the big five topics up front, right? So how did you cope with that? The fact that you were diving right into it and you were a little bit behind. Some of the students who joined my live training program, they actually start the on-demand course sometimes 1 month, sometimes 2 months ahead of the live classes. So how did you catch up? Were you putting in just extra, like tons of extra hours, or
Yeah,
pacing yourself?
I knew that I was going to finish this. Again, I was going to take this test and do absolutely my best and do everything in my power to make sure that I was prepared for it. So it's a 12-week program, and I missed the first 3.5 weeks. So right before the
Oh,
fourth,
3. I thought it was 2 weeks. Okay.
no, it was maybe 1 or 2 days before the fourth live training session, I hopped
Okay.
in. And
Right.
so you encouraged me to continue, which I did, and started at week 4, and then just backfilled as I could. So it was a matter of going through and listening to all the pre-recorded lectures for the ones I missed, doing all the problems. And I
Right.
had 8 weeks to fill in those 3 weeks that I missed, but I always kept up and kept going back. And again,
Right.
just as a general thing, I think getting through this, it's a matter of motivation and
Oh,
discipline.
for
So
sure.
it's just, I'm going to do it. And I made sure I was going to
Big
do it.
time.
And
Big time.
that was the end of it, making the decision to do it and doing it.
Couldn't agree more with you because any half-hearted effort, to be honest, with these exams, you know, it's honestly, if unless you have a lot going your way, i.e., you're a recent graduate, or you had been in some way, shape, or form connected to academia, right? In some capacity and stuff is fresh, then maybe you would be able to sort of put in a half-hearted effort and then pass these exams. Otherwise, low burning intensity, for you still have to study and cover 17 sections, right? um, it's just a waste of time, right? So what I tell my students is that it has to be like preparation for these exams for a given amount of time. It has to be one of the top priorities in your personal and professional lives, and that's how you can make it happen. So what was it, what did you have any, do you have any tips, suggestions, to share with the rest of the viewers about keeping yourself motivated? Like, what kept you going?
Hmm. Well, people ask, how much time should I spend? And you answer, and you have an answer for that. It's typically 15 to 25 hours a week, which is a good thing. But another thing is being task based. Make sure you do the material and understand it well enough. Um, and and then I honestly I didn't track the time. It was probably in the 15 to 25 week to week, but I just knew that keeping up and doing all the assignments would put me in a good place. On one of your other videos, you mentioned, "Hey, you do this? Do the 700 questions in the study guide?" And I thought about that. I guess I did. I never thought of it that way. I only knew what I had to do today. And I knew if I kept up with what I had to do today and tomorrow and the next day through the week and I got done, I would be in good shape. And I guess I did 700 questions. I never thought of it that way, but I
Right.
did it.
Yeah, that was a book that got you started on the journey, anyways, right? So, task based, and I've spoken about this in some of my live classes as well. I'm not sure if I have a dedicated YouTube video on this, but one of my students recently, I interviewed him. He did FE and P back to back with me, and he said that very early on, he realized that FE exam prep and P exam prep is a time on task project. Basically, the more time you put on it, right, on the task, right, the more you'll be comfortable, right? And the task based approach is like, okay, this week we are dealing with circuit analysis, next week we're dealing with power systems. I'll put in as much time as I need to in order to complete all the action items, right?
And one thing
In
to add to that is you never said to make it your number one task or your number two task, but you did say if it's number 11 on your top 10, you will not
Yes,
pass. If
yes.
it's 1 hour per night, you will not pass. And so I can't say this was the number one task. We're all busy, work, family, activities, relationships. And there's some things you just can't say no to. You have to do them, you have to go to work. But there are things I cut back on. So I don't know what number it was on the top 10 list, but it was at the top because I knew I needed to give it the best effort to pass.
So if you don't mind sharing, like, what were the sacrifices that you made in terms of things that are hobbies or other commitments that you were able to pull back, if you don't mind sharing?
Sure. Yeah. I meet with my friends at least 2 hours every week. Gave that up. I was studying for preparing for a very long foot race, a long race, and I was going to run that. And at the end, turns out I got injured. I had an arm injury. I actually had surgery, so that put an end to the race. But I knew I could do that later. Um, so I cut back on exercise and friends, but there's your family, there's your job, which, and and again, that's not as much as it was, but I had an excellent support system with family, and they knew that I was doing this, and they knew it was for a set amount of time, 12 weeks or 8 weeks, whatever it was, and they supported me and knew it was a good thing. So everybody made a sacrifice, but I did have that support system.
Right, that's good. But I think then you were the one who were initiating it, right? In the sense that they saw that it was not just you asking, and asking from them that, hey, you know what, I'm not going to be doing the groceries anymore. Hey, you know what, I'm not going to be showing up and meeting extended family, and then somebody else has to sort of pick up the slack. You gave up on your time, 2 hours a week with your friends, which is socializing. You gave up on your exercise routine, and so when others around you see that you are really committed and it's not you just asking favors from them, but you yourself are invested and have skin in the game, then they tend to cooperate a little bit more. And was it a conversation that you had around with people around you, that, listen, I'm going to be a little bit unavailable? Did you get everybody on board properly, or it was just that you were doing your thing and expected that people around you will pick up that you are a little bit less available?
No, it's a team effort. It's getting that support. I think about hard things in life. Make the decision to do it. Get a plan. Get the support system around you, including within yourself, and then do it. So it's kind of a plan the work the plan. But to answer your question, yeah, very much incorporating the people around you. My wife, my kids, my friends. They all knew it was a good thing and very supportive. And it is a limited time. It's intense, but it will be done. There's that goal, that finish line, and it
Yes.
was very
And you finished
satisfying.
it in style, Keith. You started a little bit late, you caught up, and then you passed the exam in December. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, and like third week of December, like just before Christmas holidays,
Yes. So
New
I
Year.
took the 8 weeks of training, and then I took I'll call it a break of about 4 weeks after your course ended before I took the exam, the FE exam, and I used that time to take practice exams and study and brush up.
Yeah, and you were, I would call you as an elite group of students. Let me explain that, who jumped into my P Power program before even finishing the FE program, right? You and a bunch of other students. And I think I was running a promotion at that time, Black Friday deal or something. And you were that confident, which is good. And each and every one of the students who sort of took that route was actually scheduled to take the exam in December. And I haven't heard from any one of them failing the exam. Right, so everybody's sort of in the that P Power program, and now you're taking P Power with me, and I think that you can recognize some of those names as well. Some folks don't attend the P Power live classes live, by the way, because FE is in the afternoon, P is in the morning, and morning in Eastern Standard Time is a little bit too early on the Pacific, on the West Coast. You are on the West Coast, though, right? So you still show up. So that tells me your commitment level. Um, Okay, so in terms of things that have happened after passing the FE exam, the employer recognized your colleagues, um, and what are the good things that have happened on the professional side of things?
Yeah, it was. My employer made sure that the whole group knew about it, passing the fundamentals of engineering. So they were supportive, made announcements in front of people. So it's a nice shot in the arm. Um, I wanted to take it to prove something to myself, also to set the ceiling for increased promotional opportunities, increased pay, but also to show some leadership among my peers, customers, that hey, here's somebody who cares, somebody who's on the ball. And my goal now, of course, is to complete your course and pass the PE exam so that we can complete the whole thing and really make it a nice package. But it's humbly approaching it, putting yourself out there, making yourself accountable, and following through. So those are some of the things.
Yeah, we're still early in our preparation for PE Power, and I look forward to doing another interview with you once you pass the PE Power very soon. What are your initial impressions of PE exam prep versus FE exam prep? Are there any similarities or differences? And I don't want to put words in your mouth. Just your initial impressions. We've had 2 weeks of classes so far for PE Power, right?
Yeah, well, the similarities are the continuity of the instruction. So I know how your style is. I know what the program is. And again, it's very appealing to me to know what I have to do every day, every week, and I'm going to get there, climb the ladder, just one step at a time. So that was good. Um, Knowing the disciplines of the homework, study guide, those types of things are similar. I'm in the live training, so it's very nice that the students are able to type in questions or email you and the instructor to get a very rapid response. So those are similarities. I'm not a power engineer, and I'm signed up for the power engineering PE instruction, but there's enough similarities there. So the engineering discipline, you talk about the work ethic and the attitude of an engineer. That hey, I've seen this. It's not my background, but I know I have the confidence to learn something that I am not a specialist at, and I've done it before. I did it with the fundamentals of engineering, so I know I can do it again. Um, so yeah, and it's nice to see those same names in the live
Yeah,
training.
yeah, of course. Uh, yeah, but the general impression, in addition, what I get from students is that, at least my observation is, students tend to be a lot more engaged in the PE Power Prep because a lot of things that they do relate to their day-to-day jobs. You don't have a power background, and it's even more impressive that you have taken up PE Power and PE Power systems. To be honest, really. results in a lot more opportunities and broadens your horizon. So I think that you've made the right decision. um, but students do tend to be a lot more engaged when it comes to the P power preparation, while making comments all along their preparation that this is a even more difficult exam. Okay, as compared to the FE exam. But I look forward to helping you pass the P power and being part of this journey, and then hopefully very soon, in a matter of few months, few weeks, we'll be back here again and celebrating your P power success.
Good, good. Yeah, I look forward to it. It will be a challenge, and there's a lot of sweat that goes into it. I'd sum it up in terms of motivation and discipline. Anybody who's watching this video, I presume, has a bachelor's degree in engineering. So you've done something in your life. You've done something that's impressive. So if you've done that, you can do it. Hey, Wasim, I wanted to talk about the value that this provided. And so, number one, I was going to do anything it took to pass this and put myself in a position to pass the exam. And I looked up some of the costs, and I won't mention dollars here, but any money is a lot of money. So I want to respect that for people. People are in different positions. But I was thinking about this, the jump that this would give my career in terms of growth and salary. And the money that somebody today would spend for tuition at a state university is a certain amount. If you compare your live training for 12 weeks, it's about 2% of that. Um, if you want to compare it to an elite top 10 name college, it's 1/2% of 4 years of tuition. So to spend just that little more to really turbocharge your career and give it a boost, to me, oh, it's money well spent. Plus the training, your knowledge, your availability, the discipline, the structure, the peer pressure in a good way, very positive things. So I would recommend the live training or even the recorded training to keep you on track.
Right. Appreciate it. Thanks a lot, Keith. And I've had some students who've sort of done that analysis, very similar analysis, and they've actually had numbers to back up. And we're not talking numbers, so we won't talk numbers, of course. But what they've basically, and they shared their numbers with me in the sense that, hey, Wasim, you know what? I was making this much. I got my EIT certificate and I started making this much, right? And they're like, what we invested in terms of exam registration, a lot of times employers are also paying for it, so a lot of times you're not even out of pocket, right? You may have to pay for the exam registration, the course, the books and whatnot up front, and then eventually they reimburse you. But even if you are out of pocket completely, right? So they're like, okay, we made X number of times what we spent once, right? And this is going to stay. And then once they get the P license, so another jump, another promotion, right? So I've had students who've increased their earning potential by getting their P license while staying at the same company at least by 10%, 15%, even 20% is pretty common, right? And those who have ventured out and switched roles, or moved on to different employers, they've been able to negotiate insane, unbelievable numbers, which they're like, they could not imagine before. So yeah, that's a good way of putting things in perspective as to what the EIT, and whether you pursue the licensure by taking using my exam prep resources or anyone else's exam prep resources, or by studying on your own, right? This calculation has should be in your mind to really have that, I think, material and understandable, tangible benefits that you're going to realize fairly quickly. And you're bound to realize that. I mean, if your current employer doesn't care for it, there are tons of other employers who are waiting for PEs. I routinely have students, my former PEs, ask me for recommendations for Wasim, do you have any PEs who are looking for jobs? And I sometimes reach out because I'm like, okay, this guy recently got his PE, so let me ask him. They're like, no, my employer bumped me up, or I don't want to relocate. I am able to negotiate things and whatnot. So they downgraded to EITs, and even EITs who are gainfully employed, it's very difficult to poach them. So all of a sudden, once you get these designations, tables turn in your favor. You get the power of negotiation, so which is very tangible. And the intangible benefits, as you mentioned, the self confidence, that sense of achievement, that hey, I set myself a goal and I got there, right? All of those good things. You mentioned running initially. I mean, I try and run 5K. I'm not a marathon runner or anything, but one of the psychological things that I find with running more than anything else is that it really makes you realize that you set yourself a target line, right? Well, I run on treadmill, but you put in the effort and you get there, right? And the more effort you get put in, the better result you get. So very few things in life are that quick to make a connection between effort and reward. But yeah, so thanks a lot for your time, Keith. Really appreciate it. Your passion, your energy and your commitment. It is hopefully others can draw energy out of it, because this level of clarity is, to be honest, what's required. And once you get to this level of clarity, no matter how difficult the undertaking is, it will get easier.
Yes, yeah, and I agree. There's so few things in life where you can work hard and get a great goal at a relatively short amount of time, and it's a lot of work, but a great feeling to get there. And you talked about the support system, yeah, but let's be honest. You're going to have to do the work, and if
Oh yeah,
you
of
do the
course.
work, and if you pass, that is a great feeling. That is an absolutely great feeling because you know that you're the one who did it.
Yeah, it's something worth pursuing, and something, if it was too easy, you wouldn't really get too much of a kick out of it. But students get a kick out of it because it's so difficult, right? To put it simply. So I look forward to seeing you in my PE Power, doing a PE Power interview after you pass that exam, and I have no doubt that we'll be here very soon.
Good, good.
Okay,
Look
thank
forward to
you.
seeing you online.
Thank you. If you like this video, then please don't forget to subscribe this channel. Feel free to ask me any questions in the comment section of this video below. You can find tons of stories of my FE Electrical and PE Power students over here. And if you want to learn more about preparation of these exams, then click here to learn more. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon in the next video.